Is a concussion a TBI? We're going to get in and answer this question for you in this video, and the answer ultimately is yes. A concussion is a TBI, but that's not the most important thing that you need to know. So stick around, because we're going to first define what a TBI is, especially in this scenario of a concussion. And then we're going to talk about some other very important things. What are the signs and symptoms of it? So you or a family member can be aware whether you've got a concussion, TBI. What is the treatment course expected if you have a concussion? And then finally, stick around to the end. The most important is, what does a TBI brain injury mean for your case if you're in a wreck or you have some other injury situation and pursuing the negligent party because of the concussion that you received due to their actions. So stick around for that to the end. Before we get started, let me tell you who I am. My name is Ted Spaulding. I am a personal injury trial lawyer. I have been trying cases, concussion, TBI cases, for 20 years now, here in my home state of Georgia and throughout the country. And I've created this channel because I am wanting to impart the knowledge I've learned on various topics to try to help people be one of two things. One, a better informed personal injury client for your lawyer, or to help give you answers if you're trying to handle your case and claim on your own. Knowledge is power, as we know, and in this industry, the best personal injury client or claimant is a knowledgeable one. So I'm going to try to impart as much knowledge as I can and hope this helps you. So let's dive into this. So what is a TBI? Traumatic brain injury is what a TBI is. So this is why people ask this question. Well, a concussion, is that traumatic? Is that really a TBI? I even get this from attorneys and adjusters. And the reason is because a lot of them just are not real familiar with brain injuries. It is one of the tougher ones to litigate and ultimately to try to a jury, because the brain is almost a mystery still, right? It is medically and it is out in the real world. So you hear traumatic brain injury and you're thinking, oh, they are now unable to function. What we see on TV, they've got all the, cords and everything. They can't, complete sentences, that sort of thing. That's not necessarily the only definition of a traumatic brain injury. A concussion, even a very low-grade concussion, is a TBI. What we call it, both in the industry and medically, is a mild traumatic brain injury. But the importance is it's still a traumatic brain injury. It comes with a lot of things that you have to know about. One of which is, once you've had one concussion, you're at a much higher rate of having a second, third, fourth, fifth, meaning less trauma can cause your next concussion. Once you've had multiple concussions, you have upwards of 50% increased chance of having dementia later in life. So that's atrophy of the brain, all of these things, just from a mild traumatic brain injury. So this is still really, really important and significant stuff, significant injury that the other side, if you have a case, needs to know about. And you do too for yourself. So next thing, what are the signs and symptoms? So signs and symptoms are pretty straightforward in a concussion situation. One, losing consciousness. If you know that you lost consciousness, you probably have a concussion. Number two, short-term memory loss. Things like you're forgetting what you just said. You're repeating yourself. You're forgetting, yes, it can be people's names, things like that. That's more rare, but I've had clients where they forget how to get to the local grocery store that they go to once a week. And all of a sudden they're driving and it's like they totally blank and they can't remember, do I turn here? And it's like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's those types of things. Forgetting phone numbers that you used to have memorized. These little signs. Headaches, blurred vision, certainly dizziness, nausea, throwing up, those things are more severe signs of concussion. Those will happen right after, or in a day, hour or two after suffering a concussion. So balance issues, all of those things long term, having issues with light, not being able to read because it bothers you, not being able to focus on a computer screen if it throws you off, gives you headaches, television, those things all are signs of it as well. What to expect treatment-wise? So one thing to know is there's no cure for a concussion. The brain ultimately needs time to heal. It will ultimately heal itself in almost all situations. Okay. Concussions, yes, they are mainly on the mild side of traumatic brain injuries. You typically don't have bleeding on the brain, hemorrhaging, all that kind of stuff that are your big traumatic brain injury type cases and situations. But you still have the need for treatment. There are medications, there are therapies that can help speed up the healing process. And that's typically the course. You will meet with a neurologist. They will put you on some medication oftentimes that can help both with headaches and to help heal the brain. And then there's what's called vestibular therapy that can be done to help you with all different symptoms of the concussion. And in essence, to help speed up the process. But what you need to know is typically on your mild concussions, you're looking at up to 6 months for the brain to heal. And in that range, I've had folks over it in a month to the full 6 months. In your more severe concussion situation, you can go 6 months plus. Now, in your very large concussion situations, you're on the borderline of a real big traumatic brain injury. What I've been told in depositions by neurologists is once you get past 2 years, that's it. Where you are is where you will be. So if you don't have full and complete healing, you're still having short-term memory issues, you're still having headaches, something of that nature, balance, whatever it is, that then is permanent at that point. Beyond 2 years, your brain's not going to heal any further. So that's what you're looking at. It can be as little as a month or less of treatment to as much as 2 years of treatment. And it just depends on the level of your concussion. Is this your first one? Is it your second, third, fourth, right? So all those things play into it. And then ultimately, what does this mean if you have a personal injury case? So you've got a concussion. What to expect with the case? What does it mean? Concussions, in my opinion, are big personal injury cases, but they are difficult to get resolved, again, because of what I said earlier. Most adjusters are not familiar with concussions. They don't specialize in it. They haven't tried these cases. Lawyers haven't oftentimes either. They don't know all the ins and outs. They don't know, for instance, you have a 50% chance of dementia and atrophy in your brain if this is your second, third, fourth concussion. So therefore, even if it's your first, they don't know that that has value, that now you're susceptible not only to a concussion more often now with smaller trauma, but the moment you have that second one, because of what this person did, you're now in that 50% bracket of having dementia later in life and earlier. Very big deal. They don't know these things. Number two, adjusters are very robotic in it's all about how much you have in medical treatment. That is not the full value of your case. It's not all based on medical treatment, but to them it is. In concussion cases, we often have low medical bills because, again, there are no surgeries. There are no big time treatments to heal this concussion. It's time. So what we tend to have is the opposite of what makes it easier with adjusters, which is a lot of medical treatment and bills, and therefore it makes sense why the case is valued extremely high. Concussion's the opposite. You have a lot of pain and suffering. You have to go through all of this really nasty kind of stuff with forgetting things and what that does to you emotionally and everything else, but your bills are low because it's just therapy. It's just medication. It's just once a month or 3 month visits with a neurologist. That's it. but you have all these long-term effects. You have long-term pain and suffering. So these things we really have to get in and advocate really, really hard in these concussion cases. And oftentimes we have to try them because they don't get it. Jurors oftentimes do, thank God. And when they hear the evidence, when they hear the doctors testify, they get it. But it is real hard to get adjusters sometimes, especially in your mild concussion case. Oh, it's a mild concussion. They were over it in 6 months. Well, what is that worth to you to go through that for 6 months, to have memory loss, dizziness, can't watch television, can't read, forgetful all the time, that sort of thing. So it does become a little bit more difficult, but they are very good cases. I don't want anyone to be discouraged. You just may need a lawyer more often than you do in other types of cases. So just be mindful of that. So I hope this video has helped. Thanks for watching. Please comment below any questions, comments, concerns. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.